Well, hello, and welcome back to your favorite personal development podcast. It is Naked in Truth and me, Sari D, here to drop a whole new topic on you guys this week. So, the truth is, guys, fitting in can be really hard. It doesn't matter if you are a kid in grade school, if you're heading into university, whether you are an adult that's starting to attend different events, or even just trying to climb the ladder at work. It's hard, okay? And I think that even in places where we wouldn't expect it, like maybe a church, there's popularity groups, right? There really is. There's people who are AKA the cool kids, whether they're kids or not. And we want to be like them a lot of the time. And what sucks though is the extent that people go to in order to be popular. And that's what we are going to talk about on today's episode about how far would you go? So, I think that that was one of my biggest struggles growing up was feeling the need to be cool, feeling the need to fit in, to be wanted, valued. I think that that's what really got me into the most amount of trouble was that I was always trying to be validated in some sort of a way. And I thought that by hanging out with people who I thought were cool, that would make me cool and that it would give me a good life. Like, I don't think that we actually think about why we're doing those things. Like I talk about a lot on this podcast, we don't fucking give a lot of thought into the things that we do, especially at young ages like that. And I look at how much pressure there is on, middle schoolers, and we're about to go into this really weird phase where it's just like this metaverse thing is going to be wild. And I think about the pressure that was already on the internet for the kids. I think about the pressure in school. And then now to be in this virtual world, I don't even know. I'm scared that society might just want to flow completely into this virtual world because then they can be whatever they want to be. And I think that myself, I'm like, why would I want to go into a virtual world when I've worked my fucking ass off to get to where I am today? Right? Like, I've put 28 solid years into trying to build this life of mine. Why would I want to go give that all up and take the easy route and be whoever I could be? Like, I feel like it completely takes the fun out of trying to get there, right? And as much as we want to achieve things by tomorrow or, live the best lives or hang with the coolest people, it doesn't happen overnight, right? And it takes work to get there. And I think that the suspense about whether we can build ourselves up to that point is what makes life exciting. So this whole new metaverse thing really has my mind spinning on how society is going to respond to it. And the fact that it's already like we're living in a world where there's order, there's structure for the most part. The police are there to help us. We know the unwritten laws kind of, but what's weird is that we're like not taught any of our laws either. Like, I think that that should be something that's brought up in school. It's like you're just like assumed to know your rights and wrongs of where you live and what it is okay and not okay to do. Like, it's something that your parents should just keep passing down, which is very odd. But going back, I know that this is like going on a bit of a tangent now, but I just think that in a metaverse, in the metaverse, not a metaverse, but the metaverse, there's not going to be that structure. There's not going to be that order, that protection, those unwritten, but they are written, you know what I mean? Unwritten laws that we just know that are like the good and bad that we should or should not be doing. Um, so I think that going into a place where it's even more free is scary, in my opinion, because I think of how hard, like I said, I tried as a kid to do things to be popular. And, you end up screwing people over and just only thinking about yourself and how you can get to the coolest people. And, you know, once you get there, the funniest part is that a, it's never what you expect it to be. And B, because you were doing it wrong the whole time to begin with, those bad qualities stay with you and you keep making bad choices and decisions, which is why you end up falling out with the people that you were trying to work so hard to hang out with. or it just puts you in really bad, embarrassing situations. And I think that that's where we end up starting to lose a lot of ourselves. And the respect that we're willing to show ourselves is when we're trying to impress other people. And it goes all the way down to being very, very people focused in the sense of worrying about what they think of you, right? I think that if you feel like somebody thinks that what you're doing isn't cool, then you're probably not going to do it, or you're going to stop doing it. Or if you see that like these other people are doing something and it looks like those people are appealing to you, you're going to probably start doing that one thing for no apparent reason simply because people that you're attracted to are doing it. And now you're starting to like change characteristics about yourself. And sometimes this ends up happening without realizing how much of our values we're dropping along the way. And we start turning into these people that we don't even know. And that's what I mean by I want you guys to assess how far are you willing to go to try to fit in? Is that something that you're currently doing in your life and you feel like it is taking away your life because you're trying so hard to be somebody else and to feel like you're constantly trying to fit in? From somebody who tried to do that for like half of her life, I can promise you guys that nothing is more reassuring, relaxing, than just being yourself. And I can promise that the right people are going to gravitate towards you if they're meant to be. And in all of it, I've also learned that nobody's cool. Okay? Like what's your definition of cool? It's kind of like the definition of success. Everybody's definition of cool and everybody's definition of success is a little bit different. So I think that we blanket it, and as well as back in the day we were so kind of limited on our thinking that it was like cool meant that you had a good job, or cool meant that you um were wearing nice clothes, very materialistic things that I feel like um, don't make a person cool. Like for me, it's like the personality side of things. Like I like a person who's confident but not cocky. I think a person who's cool is somebody who can handle criticism. I think it's cool when somebody can handle themselves well in tough situations. I think it's cool when somebody can blend with multiple personality types. I think it's cool when somebody is relatable in someone else's shoes. I think it's cool when somebody can have a conversation that is a lot more full, I guess, than what this world provides these days. So, it has nothing to do with what kind of car they drive, what they look like, who they hang out with, what kind of job they have. That's not cool. But for so long, that's what I thought cool was. And I know that with especially Instagram and everybody blowing up their feeds with the nicest shit that they have, it makes people want to desire this life. And just as humans, I think that we're really attracted to pretty things, to nice looking things. And it makes us think that we are essentially missing out if we don't have those things, or we're not as worthy. And again, I think it goes back to us validating ourselves through numbers and, caring about how much something costs to buy or how much money we're making, and then we get obsessed with other numbers. Like I was talking on my Instagram the other day, and it's like we start getting obsessed with our age and our pant size and how much we weigh on the scale and all of these really stupid things that really don't mean nothing at all, in my opinion. But they're things where if we start getting obsessed with them, or caring what other people think about them, then we can be in really dangerous positions with ourselves. And like I said, start to lose ourselves and feel like we don't truly know who we are when we do. And I can tell you that if you're going through an identity crisis, like right now, what I want you to do is I want you to sit down and think about what your values are. Okay. Think about what is the stuff that means the most to you. What are some of the attributes that somebody would think about you when they look at you? Okay. And not like look at you, but when they know you. Okay. The thing is that I know it's hard to assess these things, but if you are willing to actually slow yourself down enough and to just have some silence with yourself, you will be able to think of these things and different things that you've achieved in your life that show you the qualities that you are, even though it might not feel like it. Like, don't get me wrong, guys, we lose ourselves in life. We all of a sudden start going all of these different directions, but they are to learn. And even though it feels like we've lost ourselves, we've been there the entire time. It's just that we've thought that we needed to get to know ourselves in a way that wasn't actually beneficial. And in the end, though, we still learn about ourselves if we're willing to come back and really see, like, why did I make that decision, right? Like, I've been doing a lot of healing from different things that I feel like I've suppressed for a long time and not really put any connection to as to why I made these decisions when I was younger. And a lot of them do have to do with choices that I made in regards to trying to be popular and, you know, things that I'm like super embarrassed about now that I look back on that I'm like fucking cringeworthy, man. And I'm just so grateful that the cameras and the internet was not as big at that time while I was going through that. And like, if you know me and you knew me at that time, I know we may have even had that conversation where it's like, yeah, Sarah, you really lucked out that YouTube was not a big thing at that time. So I think that now at the age that I life. And in order to do that, I needed to make sure that I dealt with things that I wasn't dealing with and that I had, like I said, just suppressed. And even though I've done so much growth throughout these years and through all my sober years and all those good things, um, I didn't deal with shit. You know what I mean? I was growing, but I wasn't dealing, if that makes sense. So now we've made the connections that we needed and I feel like a whole new person right now, but I think that we need to understand that when we're going through that identity crisis, we need to put work in. It's not just about resting our minds. It's not just about taking the downtime. And it really is about assessing, like, why am I trying to be this person? Why are these people so appealing to me? Why is it that I feel like I'm not enough? And you're going to be surprised at what you find out if you're willing to listen long enough and be willing to get help as well. Because something that I have been very ashamed of for many years was to ask for help. I felt like it was always so weak. I felt like it was embarrassing. I didn't want anybody in my shit, like when you're a strong personality type, um, you don't you don't want people to see your weaknesses. And like as a coach, I know that I have weaknesses and I talk about them, but that still doesn't make it any easier asking for help. But that's what I did this time. And I got help from others and it was really really cool because the connections that I made along the way and the advice that I got. And that's the biggest thing too, guys, is just like make sure that you listen to all of the opinions so that you can filter them down and choose the ones that speak most to you. And that's how you can create your opinions and your values and everything like that without feeling like you need to chase after a certain group and be exactly like certain people because you're always going to be you. Even if you get into a certain group or you get a certain job, you move to a certain place and you're buying, high-end things, living a life that maybe you hadn't prior, you're still going to be you, okay? And all of these things don't change who you are. So just make sure that you're getting to know you along the way, and you're not just constantly trying to chase something else because chasing things isn't the way to go about finding yourself, or finding happiness or yeah, or finding happiness, like period. Like that's really the answer is I think that we chase these things to try to be happy. And all I can say is that the best thing that you can do is stop this chasing game and focus on you and figure out why you're chasing these things. And I can promise you that you are going to feel so much better getting to be yourself, getting to connect with people who are actually like you. Everything's just going to sit a lot more naturally. And I can promise you that everything feels a lot more fulfilling. And I feel like when you get to be you, then you get to love on people differently. You get to give back to people differently. And in a sense where you wouldn't even think about those things when you're trying to chase for you, that popularity or that job or whatever social status you think that it is that you're chasing. So I hope that you guys got a lot of value and really understand that you are exactly who you need to be. Sometimes we just need to stop and remind ourselves who that really is, what our values are, and start attracting the kind of people that we really deserve in our life, because we shouldn't be chasing nobody. Okay. So that is going to conclude today's episode. I know that you guys will be catching me next fucking